Pope Francis passes away at 88, global mourning as Vatican prepares for historic funeral in a moment of profound sorrow for the Roman Catholic Church and millions of faithful around the world. Pope Francis passed away on Easter Monday, April 21st, 2025, at the age of 88. According to an official Vatican statement, the pontiff succumbed to a combination of severe medical complications, including a stroke, prolonged coma, and ultimately heart failure. His death marks the end of one of the most influential papacies in modern times, a decade-long tenure. Defined by humility, reform, and an unwavering dedication to the marginalized, a pontiff of the people-born Jorge Mario Bergoglio in Buenos Aires, Argentina, Pope Francis became the 260th Pope of the Catholic Church and the first from the Americas, as well as the first Jesuit and the first non-European pontiff in over 200 years. His papacy, which began in 2013, was groundbreaking in countless ways. Francis earned admiration worldwide for his approachable nature, opting to live in modest accommodations rather than the apostolic palace, traveling in a modest Fiat rather than luxury vehicles, and emphasizing a church of service over status. He championed issues such as climate change, economic inequality, interfaith dialogue, immigrant rights, and LGBTQ+ inclusion, often walking a delicate line between tradition and reform. He was known for his catchphrase, "Who am I to judge?" a statement that came to define his approach to moral and spiritual leadership. His tenure was not without controversy or criticism, particularly from conservative factions within the Church, but his impact on its global image is undeniable. The final days. The Pope's health had been a growing concern in recent years, with multiple hospitalizations and public appearances often marred by visible frailty. The Vatican had remained largely private about the extent of his conditions until recently. Sources indicate that on Easter Sunday, Francis appeared visibly weakened during traditional Mass celebrations. By the early hours of Easter Monday, he had reportedly suffered a massive stroke, followed by a coma, and later went into cardiac arrest. Despite the efforts of his medical team, he passed away peacefully at the Vatican. Worldwide mourning news of his passing has sparked an outpouring of grief and tributes from religious leaders, heads of state, and people of all faiths across the globe. U.S. President, insert current president, called Pope Francis a moral compass in a time of division, while the Archbishop of Canterbury praised him as a bridge builder and a voice for the voiceless. UN Secretary General Name described him as a spiritual leader whose compassion knew no borders. Millions have begun gathering in St. Peter's Square, lighting candles, praying, and mourning the death of a man many viewed not just as a pope, but as a symbol of hope, empathy, and human dignity. Funeral arrangements underway. The Vatican has officially announced that Pope Francis's funeral will take place this Saturday in St. Peter's Square, where hundreds of thousands are expected to attend, including dignitaries from around the world. The ceremony will be led by senior Vatican officials, and in keeping with Pope Francis's wishes, is expected to be simple yet spiritually profound, reflecting his lifelong commitment to humility and service. The funeral will be broadcast globally and translated into multiple languages. For the first time, elements of the liturgy may include representation from other faith traditions, in line with Francis's vision of interreligious unity and dialogue. A church in transition, the Pope's death marks the beginning of the sede vacante, or vacant seat, the period between papacies when the Church prepares for the election of a new pope. During this time, the governance of the Catholic Church shifts temporarily to the College of Cardinals, who will gather in a conclave in the coming weeks to elect a new spiritual leader. Already, speculation is mounting about potential successors. Several prominent cardinals are being discussed as possible frontrunners, including figures from Africa, Asia, and Latin America, a sign that the global nature of the Church remains central to its future. Regardless of who steps into the role, they will inherit a church deeply shaped by Francis's priorities: social justice, care for creation, and a call for mercy and understanding in an often divided world. A legacy that lives on as the Catholic Church mourns. It also reflects on a papacy that redefined what it means to be a pope in the 21st century. Pope Francis didn't just lead from the Vatican, he led from the margins. He visited war zones, embraced prisoners, washed the feet of refugees, and consistently called on humanity to do better, not just in belief, but in action. His legacy will endure not only in church history books, but in the millions of lives. He touched with words of compassion, acts of humility, and a vision of a more merciful, inclusive world.